The alarm goes off, your feet hit the floor, you run to the kitchen, make your coffee, make sure the kids have what they need. You get yourself together in a hurry, of course, and you make sure that your kids have everything that they need to get out of the door on time. You do the whole drop off, you rush over to work, you sit down at your desk, you start that meeting, you go through your tasks, you get stuff done, and before you know it, you blinked and it's the end of the day. So you rush to your car because you got to make it to pick up the kids. You get the kids, you get them in the house. Oh no, what's for dinner? And you go through the whole nighttime routine trying to get them down. You told yourself that you were going to spend some time to yourself, but you're so tired, and so you just hit the pillow. Yet again, you've done it all. You don't really know how you got it all done, but some kind of way you did. You made it through the day. I'm Tiffany and I'm the founder of Triumphant Wife, and this is a place where ambition meets grace. Like you, I wear a billion hats and I do a lot of things, and every day I am faced with the task of balancing it all and doing it all. And I'm often asked, how do you do it all? I have a 9-to-5 job. I have a business that I'm running. I am a wife. I am a mother. I do all the things. But how? I firmly believe that for us to have it all and do it all, we do not have to be around here stressing, striving, and barely surviving. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some tips that I have that have enabled me to excel in my career, be an incredible mother, and also have a fantastic, life-giving, healthy marriage while taking care of myself. Before I begin, let me tell you this. This is not about a task list. This is not about me giving you a bunch of things to do or not to do. This is about your mindset. This is about your perspective. Your perspective can literally change how you show up in every single area of your life. And so when it comes to balancing it all, when it comes to doing all the things, when it comes to wearing all your hats with grace, the first thing I want you to do is dream a bit. How would you show up in your marriage if you were a triumphant wife? How would you show up with your children if you were a triumphant mother? How would you show up in the boardroom, in the meeting spaces, in your business, in the marketplace if you were a triumphant career woman? Get that picture so clear in your mind. When I think of triumphing in my marriage, when I think of having victory, when I think of not being defeated in my marriage, it looks like me and my husband enjoying each other, us having fun, us being friends, having dates, and even in the midst of the grind of having younger children, it looks like me and him and we're in a world of our own. When I think of me showing up triumphantly in my motherhood, it looks like my children having space to be able to share authentically with me. It looks like story time and cuddles. It looks like they're not experiencing an overwhelmed mom all the time. It looks like they are happy to be in my presence and I am truly enjoying them as the gift that God has given me. When I think of what it looks like to be triumphant in the marketplace, it looks like I have great boundaries. It looks like I'm not having to bring all of this stuff into my home. It looks like showing up excellently and getting results. It looks like the people who are reporting to me feeling supported in their roles. It looks like the people who I'm reporting to giving me great evaluations and feedback. So what would it look like for you to be triumphant in all of those areas? I need you to get a very clear picture of that, because if we're going to aim at something, we got to know where we're going. See, the thing about when we want to try to balance it all is we just try to jump in and just get stuff done. I know I have to do this. I know I have to do that. I know I have to be here. I know the kids need this. I know my husband needs this, and this project is due. But no, I want you to step back a bit and I want you to begin to dream and envision what your life would be like. How would you be like? What would it feel like for you to be triumphant in each of those roles? And it's not about stressing, and it's not about striving, and it's not about being on a performance treadmill and trying to do all of the things. It's about a mindset. What would you be like? What would your mental space be like if you were to be triumphant in each of those roles? I need you to get a picture of that. because that picture is going to help you to be able to move into the next phase of doing it all. Now that you've taken some time to get a picture of yourself as triumphant, yourself as thriving and not stressing and striving in those roles, I need you to peel it back even further. And I need you to take an honest assessment of where you are. If you have to, get out a journal and write this down. Write down, here's where I want to be and here's where I am. Currently, I feel stressed and overwhelmed in my mothering. Currently, I feel like an imposter in the marketplace. Currently, my husband and me are not on a good page. We haven't done the work to invest in one another. Where are you right now? This will take a level of honesty, a level of authenticity, a level of transparency and vulnerability with yourself. You can even go as far as to ask, hey, how are we doing in marriage? Hey, what's going on with us? What do you think that we can be doing to work on our union together? You can even go as far as to ask the people who report to you or the people that you report to, hey, how am I doing? Can you give me some feedback on my performance? What would you like to see me do differently? You can ask your kids for feedback. Ask them, how are they experiencing you as a mom? What does mommy do that makes you feel really happy? What does mommy do that makes you feel really sad? So all of this will take a level of authenticity with yourself. It takes introspection. It takes you looking inward and being honest and saying, hey, here's where I am. Don't get stuck in this valley of, oh, I suck and woe is me. No, that's not the space that we are going to be living in. That's not the space that we're going to exist in. You do need to have an honest evaluation and assessment and reflection of where are you right now. And so once you do that, you have a picture of where you are right now. The next thing that you want to do is move into the next phase of doing all the things and balancing it all and being a boss wife, mom, and businesswoman, career woman, whatever the case may be. The next thing that you have to do is to determine your priorities. And how you're going to do that is you are going to look for the gaps between where you are right now and where you want to be, who you are right now and who you want to be. There are some gaps in between that space. And whatever it is that you feel is in the gaps, you're going to then determine, okay, what priorities do I need to set for myself? What should be a priority in this season? So let's just say in the area of marriage. When you picture what it looks like to be a triumphant wife, you picture laughing, you picture lots of intimacy, you picture having fun with each other. You picture probably how things used to be before, things got busy and your schedules got crazy and the kids were young and you got overwhelmed and all those things. When you picture yourself and then you measure it up against the reality is you guys work a lot. You don't spend a whole bunch of time with each other. The reality is you have younger kids who need a lot more from you in this season. The reality is that there's a lot more on your plate now than there used to be years ago or months ago or whatever the case may be. So you have a picture of where you want to be, where you currently are, and now it's time to move into setting your priorities. I am committed to making my marriage a place where the both of us feel connected, where we feel like we are friends, where we feel like we're dating each other once again, where we're not just in the grind of keeping our house afloat and keep our businesses going and making sure that the children are okay. But no, I envision myself triumphant in my marriage by having a marriage that is thriving and we're giving each other the necessary attention that is required in order for us to do that. So now that you have a picture of where you want to be and you've done some reality reconciling and you are in a space where okay, this is where we are, and you said and made a commitment to yourself that my marriage is going to be a priority in this season. Now, the next thing that you want to do is to, from your priorities, determine what boundaries need to be in place. We'll keep going with the example of a thriving, triumphant, successful, yummy, mesmerizing marriage. So now you have to set the boundaries that you want to put in place to honor your priority. So if you've determined that your marriage is a priority, then what boundaries do you need to set in place in order to make that actually happen? Is it that you need to leave work on time so you can make it home on time, so you can get the kids down on time, so that you and your husband can have time together at the end of the day? Is it that you need to make sure that there's no phone time when you guys get in the bed so that you can have that time of connection with each other before you doze off to sleep, to rinse and repeat for the next day? Is it that you need to make sure that no matter what, you have a date night with your husband? Is it that you guys need to do marriage counseling? Is it that you guys need to make room to have those healthy, more difficult conversations? What is it that you need to set in place so that your priorities remain a priority even when things get crazy, out of whack, and stressed out? To this point, we've dreamt a bit about who we want to be. If we were our most triumphant self, what would that look like and what would that feel like? We've also taken a moment to be very vulnerable, to be very authentic, to be introspective, and we've assessed where we are right now in comparison to where we truly desire to be. And we're also mindful of the gap, the space between where we want to be and where we currently are, and we're setting priorities in a way that would close that gap. And because we've established our priorities, now we can set boundaries. And once those boundaries are set, that's when we get into the doing part. That's when we get into the systems part. That's when we get to the nitty-gritty part. But you can't get there until your mindset is right first. So what happens if you don't approach it with the mindset first? If you just jump in and say, I gotta get it all done. I have to do all these things. My family needs me. My job needs me. My business depends on me, etc. What happens is you become stressed and you become overwhelmed and you get burnt out and you get exhausted, which puts you right back in a space of not balancing it all with grace. Because truth be told, you can do it all. You're doing it all right now. But do you like who you are at the end of the day? When you lay your head down on that pillow at night, are you saying, today was a great day? Or are you saying, I barely made it through the day? So we want to transition from stressing and striving and barely surviving. I know I say that a lot and you'll hear it a million times on this channel. We don't want to live that type of life. We want to be triumphant. And again, this is a place where ambition meets grace. It is okay for you to be an ambitious woman. It is okay for you to have talents and goals. It is okay for you to have standards. It is okay for you to want to have it all and to have it all and do it all. But what you can't do is do it from a place where the people around you are not experiencing you at your best self. What you can't do is do all the things from a place where you're not considering yourself. You're not taking care of yourself. You're pouring out, and you're serving others, but you are nowhere on your to-do list. That is not what God has intended us to do. That's not the life that He has given us to live. I just refuse to believe that. I refuse that that is the portion that God has for us. It just simply cannot be true. If we serve a God of grace, then it must mean that we can flow and operate from a place of grace in all of our doing. So if you want to do all of the things, do it from a place of grace. Let your doing come from a place of resting in Him, as opposed to constantly striving and trying to prove yourself and trying to get it together and trying to do all the right things and trying to be perfect. The expectation is not perfection. The expectation is progression. So it's progression over everything. We just need to perfection out of our minds and don't even put that on the table as we're thinking about how we're going to balance all the things that God has called us to do. Perfection is not what God is expecting of us. Progression is what He is expecting of us. And as we lean into Him and allow Him to set our priorities, show us what our boundaries are, help us to have an honest reflection of who we are, and then also help us to see where He wants to take us in the future. When we lean into that, we can flow from a place of grace. We don't have to be a slave to our ambition. Whew, I just had to share that with you guys. I know I might have gotten on a little soapbox and I started preaching a little bit, but I really just want you to thrive. I really just want you to be triumphant. And I really want for you to understand that you don't have to be overwhelmed, burdened to do all the things that God has called you to do. So you don't do the systems first. You do the work, the internal work, the introspective work, the setting boundaries and setting priorities. You do that work first and allow that to propel you into your systems and your structures. What do I mean by systems? And how can you have systems in your home? How can you have systems with your children? How can you have systems at work? So the simple definition that I have is that a system is just a way of doing things. So don't overcomplicate it. Just think, how do I do XYZ? How do I run my home? How do I behave at work? How do I engage with my husband? We need a system for each of those things. So one of the first systems that I have is for my home management. There are things that need to be done in my home on a daily basis. So systematically, I'm thinking of, how do I do what I do? I need to do it, so how do I do it? So some of the systems that I employ in my home include outsourcing tasks, just different things that I don't want to clean or different things that I don't have time to do. Outsource it. Listen, I know that some people might feel a certain kind of way, like maybe you feel that you're not being a good wife if you have to have somebody do your laundry, or have someone to cook your meals for a few meals, or even have a nanny. Listen, you get to determine how you're going to show up as a wife and a mom. And let's bring it in a little bit. I know we love to quote the Proverbs 31 woman, and sometimes we're tempted to say, oh, well, she did it all, so I should be able to do it all. No, the Proverbs 31 woman was a businesswoman. She was a boss, honey, okay? She had help. She had people who were working for her. So please don't let anybody make you feel bad because you need somebody else, or you desire someone else to do your laundry. You want somebody to come in and clean. Don't let anybody make you feel bad because they're doing that. You are responsible to manage your home. It doesn't mean that you have to do everything yourself, okay? That was just a little side note. But anyways, when you're determining what your system should be for your home, I need you to go through a list of kind of all the things that are needed for your home to run efficiently. How are you going to do that? Are you going to hire someone to come and clean ever so often so you can stay on top of the cleaning? Are you only going to do grocery pickup? You get to determine what that system will look like, but it will take time for you to kind of peel it back and actually think it through. In the same way that you have systems for your home, you also need systems for the workplace. So some systems for me look like, I do not check email on the first thing when I walk in. I just cannot do that. And I don't keep my email open all day because people are constantly reaching out to me. And if I'm constantly responding in the moment, I won't ever be able to get anything done. Another system that I use at work is I don't allow for meetings to be scheduled on top of each other. I have set my calendar to block 10 minutes after every meeting that is on my calendar so that I'm not running from one thing to the next. That's a systematic thing for me. That's how I get everything done. And then the other part of that is I set a calendar 5 minutes before I am supposed to be packing up to leave to remind myself that I have set the boundary of I'm going to be home at a certain time. So get your stuff together and get out of this door. What is here can be here and will be here tomorrow. You don't have to feel like you got to sit at this desk any longer. Get up and go and do the other things that you have made a priority in your life. Yes, my business is a priority. Yes, my work is a priority. However, so is my family. So I have to leave on time. So the systems that I built into my workday actually help me at home too. And I know we probably don't like to think of our marriage in terms of systems. We want for it to be spontaneous, and we want to feel the romance, and we want to just kind of fall into certain things. But listen, I've been married for 10 years. And I have learned the art of intentionality. If you are going to have a successful, thriving marriage, you have to be intentional. So some of the systems that I have set in place, that me and my husband have set in place in our marriage, helps us to be intentional. So one part of our system, for example, is that every Wednesday night we have our check-ins. This is the kids go down and we have time together and we talk, or we play a game, or we might read a marriage enrichment book. We might do other things that only grown people do. Whatever it is, that's our time. And that's a part of how I get it done in my marriage. Is this making sense? I sure hope so. So again, when I'm saying systems, I'm not saying that you have this whole big blueprint that you're working from. No, but you need to think strategically. You need to think intentionally, because if you want to be successful, you got to plan to do so. So don't just let your marriage happen to you. Don't just let your business happen to you. Determine how you want to show up, and your systems is how you do that. Even for my kids, I have a system or a signature way of doing things. Every morning, we do affirmations, because it's important to me that I raise young women who know their worth and their value. It's important to me that they walk in their spaces and in their world with confidence. And also, every Monday and Wednesday, we have extended cuddles. And I know people probably don't like to think like this, to have a plan, but listen, my kids look forward to Monday. My kids look forward to Wednesday, because they know that on those nights, they get extended time with mommy. We might cuddle on the couch, we might cuddle in their bed, we might read a book together, we might sing songs, whatever it is that they want to do. They know Monday and Wednesday is their night. That's how I get it all done. That's how I'm able to show up in my motherhood in the way that I want to. I'm very, very intentional about it. I know I said a lot, but to recap, in order for you to have systems that work in all of the areas that mean the most to you, you got to get your mind right first. You need to be able to take an honest assessment of where you are in comparison to where you want to be in your most thriving and triumphant self. And then you need to set healthy priorities and boundaries to support where you say you want to be. From there, and from there only, you should set systems, which again is the way you get stuff done, the way that you do it. You get to determine that. You get to set the systems. I hope that you have found this very helpful to get your mind right and to begin to process through what types of systems or signature ways can you get the things done that you need to get done. Now, I want to hear from you. Don't leave me hanging. In the comments, I want to hear, what would you look like? What would it feel like if you were your most triumphant self? Well, thank you guys so much for joining me for this video. There are a couple of ways that you can stay connected with me. You can subscribe to my channel to make sure that you don't miss any of these fun and exciting and very helpful videos that I have planned for you. You can also sign up for my mailing list, the Wife Chat. The link is in the description box, where I give you the secret sauce on how you can do all the things and do it with excellence. You can also connect with me over on LinkedIn, where I'm sharing value regarding how you can show up as the boss woman that you truly are in the workplace and in the marketplace. If you want some behind the scenes of my life, connect with me over on Instagram and on Facebook. Until next time, I can't wait to see you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.